Hey folks, welcome back to RPMbass. We are counting down our top 20 records of all time, and currently we are on number 7. I'm going to start this one off. And my number 7 pick is the album Technology by Don Broco. So I think this marks the point where I don't think there's an album in my list now any older than 2000. So everything past this point is super, super new in the context of records. Don Broco, English band, Bedfordshire. Or Bedford. They actually have that in one of their tracks, Pretty. It's got a sample of Lars Ulrich right at the start, and he's saying, Bedford, where's Bedford? Signed on Sharp Tone Records, which is a label which, in the past 10 years or so, they've, well, in fact, it will be 10 years this year since Sharp Tone was formed. They've picked up so many really, really cool bands. A lot of bands that are just starting out or are fairly new, and they've really, really honed in on a sound for that label as a whole. So, yeah, they're kind of a post-hardcore band, which is, I guess, like a branch of metal or rock or whatever you want to call it. Realistically, like, they're a riff band. Like, it's just riffs all over the shops. Pretty much the entire album, start to finish, it's 18 tracks, which I would normally say is too long for an album. I generally like to sit on, like, this sort of 12 to 13. That's kind of where I'm happy. For the most part, but there's not a single duff one on this album at all. Like, every single song, super well produced, super hard hitting, just like really, really Moorish riffs, and they're really simple as well. Like, there's not a lot of intricacies in terms of the guitar writing, but it really, really just like, it's catchy as all hell. So yeah, you've got tracks like Technology, the title track. They essentially have this like story through their music videos, which they started with this album. Everybody was the first single released from this album. It introduced this like weird cowboy character who's just this actor that they paid, and like he's been in pretty much every single video since, up until I think the sort of first one on their most recent album, where they kind of changed the storyline of their stuff.
What about the artwork? That's insane. That is
really
good.
So, honestly, I don't know that the artwork really means a whole lot. Like, I can't see any references to it in like the music videos or anything like that. It's just like a wild piece of artwork where they've taken a dog's face and put it into some weird like pseudo biblical.
The thing is, you can't see it on there, but that's all embossed.
Yes,
as well. So that would have been super expensive. Sorry, Mark.
Just about see it in the light.
Yeah.
But yeah, something that really goes alongside the riffage and the writing. It's produced by Jason Perry, who's the lead singer in the band A. Who, like, probably the song that most people would know that band for is the song Nothing, which, you know, when you try and search on Google for A Nothing, like,
there is nothing.
It's fucking useless. Like, it's the hardest band to search ever. But yeah, his production is unreal. Like, the drums are so punchy. I can see how some people would probably be turned off by it because it's a very modern sounding like rock and metal album, but partly because of that production that's why I really love how this album like flows, because it's just hard hitting all the way through. And yeah, as I said, every single song on it is a winner. So yeah, that's Technology by Don Broco.
Cool. So my choice for this one, this band I first heard about in about 1986. A friend of mine, because I was really into hip hop, and a friend of mine who had quite a rich background, him and his parents were going over to America, New York. So he said he'd bring me back some records because he was going to buy some records. Bearing in mind, we would have been like 16 years old, and he brought me back the first album by this band. So we were playing this stuff way before a lot of other people. They brought one of the 12 inches as well, and an album by another band, which I'm going to be talking about shortly. So the album I chose for this one is Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation. Even though the album I was just talking about was their first album, Your Bum Must Show, it just blew my mind again with the kind of Chuck D's vocals and the kind of the Bomb Squad were doing all the production. It was just like fierce. The sounds like Public Enemy #1, a lot of samples in it. I went to see them in 1987. This album came out just after that. And basically, the concert I went to in Hammersmith Odeon, I went with another DJ called Bloodshot. He's called DJ Bloodshot now. But we went to see, it was LL Cool J on his Bad tour in Hammersmith Odeon, which is insane, by the way. I'll tell you about that. I talk about LL Cool J. Public Enemy with the support act. This was 1987. I think it was a Def Jam tour. So I think there was Eric B. and Rakim, and then there was Public Enemy, and then LL Cool J. But snippets from that concert are used on this album. So this has definitely got a lot of good memories for me, this album. But when this album dropped, like, everyone was just going insane. And doing a bit of research, and I didn't realise this on the research album, what Chuck D and the Bomb, what they wanted to try and do was make almost like a bit like Marvin Gaye, What's Going On kind of album. So there's a lot of topics in here about kind of racism and how everything's not what it's supposed to be. Don't believe the hype, all of that. And it kind of educated quite a lot of us as well, because there was a lot of stuff going on in America. Remember, this is pre kind of internet. So we were finding out about a lot of stuff that was happening in America through people like Public Enemy. I mean, everything on this album is just insane. And doing a bit of research on this, the whole idea, they wanted to keep everything up-tempo with this whole album. So they were using kind of breaks. They were kind of disguising a lot of like the drum breaks they were doing. They were recording live drummers. Chuck D's vocals were just like on point. And Flavor Flav, believe it or not, he's not just a hype man. He played a lot. He played a big part in this as well. And it got to number 1. I mean, US Billboard charts, it got really high. I mean, this is still selling now. And it's an album that is probably one of the most important hip-hop albums ever. And that's just not me saying that. That's, you know, all the charts out there saying, yeah, definitely this album. And if I could have an album produced by the Bomb Squad, I would absolutely do it, because they just killed it on this album. Yeah. I can't say any more about this album. Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation Millions to Hold Us Back. An album you should check out before you die.